I never thought I'd be the kind of man who'd track his wife's every move, but when someone you've trusted for 6 years suddenly becomes a stranger, you do things you never imagined possible. My name is Carl, and I run a small manufacturing business in San Diego. Nothing fancy, but it keeps the bills paid and puts food on the table. My wife Patricia is an artist, or at least that's what she calls herself. Truth is, she hasn't sold a painting in 2 years, and most days she just lounges around our apartment scrolling through her phone while I'm out working 12-hour shifts. For the first 5 years of our marriage, this arrangement didn't bother me much. I loved her, and I believed in her talent even when nobody else did. Patricia had this way of making me feel like I was her entire world. She'd greet me at the door with a smile, ask about my day, and we'd spend evenings watching old movies together. But 6 months ago, something shifted. It started small. Patricia bought new clothes, expensive ones that I knew we couldn't really afford. When I asked about them, she'd wave her hand dismissively and say she got them on sale. Then came the makeup tutorials at odd hours, the sudden interest in fitness, the way she'd spend an hour getting ready just to run errands. I remember one particular Tuesday afternoon when I came home early from work. I'd finished a client meeting ahead of schedule and decided to surprise Patricia with lunch from her favorite Thai restaurant. When I walked into our apartment, I found her standing in front of the full-length mirror in our bedroom, trying on 3 different outfits. The bed was covered with discarded clothes, dresses, skirts, blouses I'd never seen before. "Carl," she gasped, spinning around with genuine surprise in her eyes. "You're home early." "Yeah, thought we could have lunch together," I said, holding up the takeout bag. "What's all this?" Patricia glanced at the clothes strewn across our bed and laughed, but it sounded forced. "Oh, just trying to figure out what to wear. I'm meeting Sarah for coffee later." Sarah was her college friend, who lived 2 hours away in Los Angeles. They hadn't met up in months. "That's great," I said, though something felt off. "When did you two plan this?" "Last week. I forgot to mention it." She grabbed a simple blue dress and held it against her body. "Does this look okay?" I nodded, but my mind was already turning over the details. Patricia had never been the type to obsess over outfits for coffee with girlfriends. And why would she need 3 new dresses for a casual meetup? The real alarm bells started ringing when she started going out every weekend. To a bar. Patricia, who once told me she hated the noise and chaos of bars, was suddenly a regular at some place downtown. "It's for inspiration," she said when I questioned her. "I need to be around creative energy. There's live music, interesting people. It helps my art." I suggested that we go together, but she said she likes going there alone. I wanted to believe her. God, how I wanted to believe her. The first Saturday she went out, I tried to stay up and wait for her. She'd left around 8 p.m., wearing a black dress that hugged her curves in ways that made me uncomfortable. Not because she didn't look beautiful, but because she'd never dressed like that for our date nights. I fell asleep around midnight on the couch, and when I woke at 3 a.m., she still wasn't home. She stumbled in at 3:30, and I pretended to have just woken up. "Hey," I said groggily. "How was it?" Patricia jumped slightly, clearly not expecting me to be awake. "Oh, it was good. Really good. The music was incredible." She kicked off her heels and headed toward the bedroom. "I'm exhausted, though. Going to bed." Something in her voice, in the way she avoided eye contact, made my stomach twist. But then came the phone calls she'd taken in the other room. The texts that made her smile in ways I hadn't seen in months. The nights she'd come home at 2 in the morning smelling like cigarettes and cologne, scents that definitely weren't mine. One evening, about 3 weeks into her new weekend routine, I watched her from the kitchen as she sat on our balcony, phone pressed to her ear. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I could see her body language, the way she leaned back in her chair, completely relaxed, twirling a strand of hair around her finger. She was laughing, really laughing, in a way she hadn't laughed with me in months. When she came back inside, I asked casually, "Who was that?" "Oh, just my cousin Emily," Patricia said without missing a beat. "She's having drama with her boyfriend again." I nodded, but something nagged at me. Emily lived in Seattle, and Patricia had mentioned just last month that they'd lost touch. Why would they suddenly be having long, intimate phone conversations on our balcony? Another time, on a Thursday evening, I came home to find Patricia in the shower at 6 p.m., unusual because she typically showered in the mornings. When she emerged wrapped in a towel, her hair wet and smelling of expensive shampoo, I noticed she'd shaved her legs. Not unusual in itself, but combined with everything else. "Going somewhere?" I asked, trying to sound casual. Just feeling gross from the humidity, she said, not meeting my eyes. Thought a shower would help. She got dressed quickly, jeans and a nice top, and grabbed her purse. I'm going to run to the art supply store before it closes, she announced. Need some new brushes. Want company? I offered, testing her reaction. Patricia's face flickered with something. Annoyance? Panic? Before settling into a smile. No, that's okay. I know you've had a long day. I'll be quick. She was gone for 3 hours. When she returned, she had no art supplies. They didn't have what I needed, she explained, breezing past me. I stopped for dinner instead. Already ate, sorry. I'm not proud of what I did next, but I had to know. I installed tracking software on her phone while she was in the shower one morning. It took me 3 days of wrestling with my conscience before I actually checked it, but when I did, my entire world crumbled. Patricia wasn't just going to the Blue Note for inspiration. She was meeting someone there. Someone named Kevin. The messages between them were explicit, passionate, and went back 4 months. 4 months of lies. 4 months of her kissing me goodbye while planning her next rendezvous with another man. The first message I saw made my hands shake. Can't stop thinking about Saturday night. Your hand's on my skin. I need to see you again soon. That was from Patricia. To Kevin. Sent the Monday after her first night at the Blue Note. His response, you're addictive. Tuesday? Same place as last time. Tuesday. That was the day she'd supposedly met Sarah for coffee. Kevin was a musician who performed at the bar every Saturday night. The texts revealed how they'd met. She'd gone there alone one evening, supposedly to sketch, and he'd approached her after his set. One conversation led to another, one drink led to several, and eventually, she was meeting him at cheap motels across the city. But here's where the story takes a turn that made my blood run cold. As I dug deeper into her phone records and messages, I discovered that Kevin wasn't Patricia's only secret. There were 3 others. 3 other men she'd been seeing simultaneously, all while playing the devoted wife at home. The messages showed she was juggling them with remarkable efficiency. Tuesdays with Mark, a personal trainer from her gym. Thursdays with David, someone she'd met at an art gallery. And random weekday afternoons with Brandon, a barista from the coffee shop near our apartment. One particularly gut-wrenching message thread showed Patricia coordinating her schedule like a business manager. Mark, can we meet tomorrow? Patricia, can't do Wednesday. Thursday works. Mark, I have clients until 7. Patricia, that's fine. I have plans Thursday afternoon anyway. How about Friday morning? Plans Thursday afternoon. I checked her messages with David. Sure enough, they'd arranged to meet Thursday at 2 p.m. Patricia wasn't just unfaithful. She was running what essentially amounted to a rotation schedule. I found another message thread that made me physically ill. Patricia was texting with someone named Jennifer, apparently a friend from her art class. Patricia, I swear, I don't know how I'm keeping track of everyone, lol. Jennifer, girl, you're playing with fire. What if Carl finds out? Patricia, he won't. He's too busy with work to notice anything. Plus, I'm careful. Jennifer, and Kevin doesn't know about the others? Patricia, God no. None of them know about each other. That's the beauty of it. They each think they're special. The casual cruelty of those words, the way she laughed about deceiving not just me, but all of these men, it transformed my heartbreak into something colder. The discovery paralyzed me for days. I'd go to work, interact with employees, review invoices, all while feeling like I was moving through thick fog. At night, I'd lie next to Patricia, watching her sleep peacefully, wondering how someone could live such a complete double life. Then I found something else. Something that transformed my devastation into cold, calculated fury. Patricia had been stealing from our joint accounts. Small amounts at first, $50 here, $100 there. But over the past 4 months, she'd siphoned off nearly $30,000. The bank statements showed ATM withdrawals and transfers to an account I didn't recognize. When I traced that account through some digging, I found it was under her maiden name. She was planning to leave me. She was building an escape fund while simultaneously betraying me in every way possible. That's when I stopped being the hurt husband and became something else entirely. I contacted a divorce attorney, not just any attorney, but one who specialized in complex asset protection. I showed her everything I'd found. The messages, the financial records, the timeline of Patricia's affairs. We need to move fast, my attorney Margaret Baker told me. And we need to be smart about this. Margaret helped me do something I never thought I'd be capable of. We created a mirror account and began documenting every penny Patricia withdrew. But more than that, We started building a case that would ensure she couldn't touch any of my business assets during the divorce. I transferred the majority of my business accounts into a trust. Perfectly legal, Margaret assured me, as long as we could prove the business existed before the marriage, and that Patricia had never been involved in its operations. Which was true. I'd started my company 7 years ago, a full year before I met Patricia. Then came the detective work. Margaret recommended a private investigator named Thomas Reeves. Thomas was ex-military, methodical, and expensive, but Margaret promised he was worth every penny. I need photographic evidence of everything, I told Thomas during our first meeting at a diner far from my neighborhood. Every affair, every meeting, every hotel room. You sure you want to see all that? Thomas asked, his weathered face showing genuine concern. I need to see it, I replied, because I need her to know that I know everything. Thomas delivered beyond my expectations. Within 3 weeks, I had a file folder thick with surveillance photos, time-stamped videos, and even audio recordings from some of Patricia's more public indiscretions. The evidence was damning and irrefutable, but I didn't confront her yet. Not yet. Instead, I let Patricia continue her charade, while I systematically protected every asset I'd worked years to build. I moved money into accounts she didn't know about, transferred property deeds, and restructured my business in ways that would make it nearly impossible for her to claim any portion of it. Margaret was brilliant. She found legal loopholes I didn't know existed and used California's complicated community property laws to our advantage. Since I could prove Patricia's adultery and financial misconduct, we had grounds to argue for an unequal division of assets. The entire time, Patricia had no idea. She continued her weekend trips to the Blue Note, her weekday rendezvous with her other lovers, her systematic draining of our joint account. She thought she was being clever. She had no idea I was 10 steps ahead. 2 months after I'd first discovered her betrayal, I was ready. I chose a Saturday evening, one of her bar nights, to make my move. I prepared meticulously. I packed her belongings into boxes while she was out, changed the locks on our apartment, and arranged for a courier service to deliver divorce papers to her at the Blue Note at exactly 9 p.m., right in the middle of Kevin's guitar set. But that wasn't all. Remember those other 3 men? The ones Patricia had been juggling alongside Kevin? I made sure they'd all be there too. I sent each of them an anonymous message suggesting they surprise their special someone at the Blue Note that evening. I included just enough detail to pique their interest, but not enough to reveal who sent it. Thomas, my private investigator, was positioned at the bar with a camera. I asked him to document everything that was about to unfold. According to Thomas's report, which he delivered with what I swear was an amused smile, the scene that night was spectacular. Patricia was sitting with Kevin at a corner table when Mark, the personal trainer, walked in. She tried to play it off, introducing Kevin as just a friend, but Mark wasn't buying it. He'd driven 45 minutes because he thought Patricia wanted to introduce him as her boyfriend, not find her with another man. Before Patricia could salvage the situation, David showed up. Then Brandon. Each one had received my anonymous message. Each one thought they were the only man in Patricia's life. The courier arrived at 9 p.m. sharp, right as the confrontation between Patricia's 4 lovers was reaching its peak. The entire bar was watching the drama unfold. Patricia opened the envelope right there, in front of everyone, and found divorce papers along with a flash drive containing copies of every message, every photo, every piece of evidence I'd collected. There was also a note from me, handwritten. You wanted inspiration? Here's a story for you. It's about a woman who thought she was clever enough to deceive everyone. She wasn't. The apartment is locked. Your belongings are in storage unit 247 at Safekeep on Market Street. The key is with the building manager. Don't contact me. Don't come to my workplace. Any communication goes through my attorney. Her information is on page 3. Thomas told me Patricia went pale, then red, then burst into tears. Kevin tried to comfort her, but by that point, he'd realized he was just one of several men she'd been manipulating. He walked out. So did the others. Patricia left the bar alone that night, humiliated in front of dozens of witnesses. The story spread through our social circle within days. Turns out, public humiliation is a powerful thing. The divorce proceedings were brutal, but Margaret had prepared me well. Patricia's attorney tried to claim half of everything, but we had documentation of her adultery, her financial theft, and her systematic deception. California might be a community property state, but judges have discretion, especially when misconduct is proven. In the end, Patricia got the car, a 5-year-old sedan that was nearly paid off, and half of what remained in our joint accounts, which wasn't much since she'd already stolen most of it. The judge ordered her to return the $30,000 she'd taken, and when she couldn't produce it, it was deducted from her settlement. I kept the business, the retirement accounts, and most of our shared investments. The apartment, which we'd been renting, wasn't part of the equation, but I found a new place within a week. But the real revenge? That came from watching Patricia's carefully constructed world of lies collapse completely. Kevin, it turned out, had been playing the same game Patricia was. Thomas did some additional digging, and discovered Kevin was simultaneously involved with 5 different women, all of whom he'd met at the Blue Note. When Patricia learned this, and she did because I made sure the information found its way to her, it destroyed her. She'd thought Kevin was her escape plan, her passionate romance, her reason for betraying our marriage. Instead, he was just another liar who saw her as convenient entertainment. Mark, David, and Brandon all cut off contact with her immediately. Her reputation in our social circles was annihilated. Friends who'd once sympathized with her struggling artist persona suddenly saw her for what she really was, a manipulative fraud who'd been playing everyone. The financial theft charge hung over her head for months. Margaret made sure Patricia's attorney understood that if Patricia didn't agree to our terms, we'd press criminal charges. Patricia signed everything we put in front of her. 6 months after that Saturday night at the Blue Note, I ran into Patricia at a grocery store. She looked tired, worn down in a way that had nothing to do with physical appearance. She tried to approach me, maybe to apologize or explain, but I simply turned and walked away. I didn't need her apology. I didn't need closure or understanding. I'd gotten something better. I'd dismantled her entire web of deceit and made sure she understood that actions have consequences. My business is thriving now. I've thrown myself into work, expanded into new markets, hired additional staff. The company that Patricia never cared about, the one she saw as just a source of income while she played house, is now worth 3 times what it was during our marriage. I heard through mutual acquaintances that Patricia moved to Phoenix, trying to start over. She's working as a waitress now, her dreams of being a successful artist apparently abandoned along with everything else. I don't take pleasure in her suffering, not exactly. But I won't lie and say there isn't some satisfaction in knowing that her betrayal cost her everything while I emerged stronger, wealthier, and free from a marriage that was built on lies. Sometimes, late at night, I think about those 6 years we spent together. I wonder when the woman I married turned into the stranger who betrayed me, or if maybe she was always that stranger and I was just too blind to see it. But mostly, I don't think about her at all. I'm dating again now, nothing serious, just getting back into the rhythm of trusting people. It's harder than I expected. Every time someone texts back too slowly, every time a date seems distracted, I feel that familiar paranoia creeping in. Margaret, my attorney who became something of a friend through all this, told me that's normal. You experience betrayal at its deepest level, she said over coffee one afternoon. It's going to take time to rebuild that faith in people. She's right, of course, but I'm working on it. Slowly. One thing I've learned, revenge doesn't have to be violent or illegal to be effective. Sometimes the best revenge is simply exposing the truth and watching someone face the natural consequences of their actions. Patricia gambled that she was smarter than me, that she could steal, lie, and betray without repercussions. She lost that bet spectacularly. And me? I won more than a divorce settlement. I won my freedom, my self-respect, and the knowledge that I'm capable of playing the long game when necessary. Every morning, I wake up in my new apartment, make coffee, and head to the office knowing that every dollar I earn, every success I achieve, belongs solely to me. No one is stealing from me. No one is lying to me. No one is using me as a financial backup plan while they pursue their selfish desires. That's worth more than any revenge could ever be. Still, I have to admit, the look on Patricia's face when she opened that envelope at the Blue Note, surrounded by the 4 men she'd been deceiving, in front of a bar full of witnesses, that image brings a smile to my face whenever I think about it. Justice served cold, public, and absolutely devastating. Thank you for watching the video to the end. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. A playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to is now displayed on the screen. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.